and he's good to talk hockey. Charlie O'Connor is on. Hey, Charlie.
How's it going?
I'm just working out like new intros for the people that I have on a lot.
Okay.
I don't know if that's going to be like a permanent thing or not. I guess I'll let the commenters decide. But yeah, we're fully into. Well, no, I mean we're not even fully into the offseason. It's done. It's cottage time. Heated rivalry style. All the GMs are up there. Nothing is happening. But we also, I don't know why I keep saying we. This is like the royal we. I had you on before the draft. I didn't have you on after the draft. I didn't have you on Leo Carlsson stuff. So kind of wanted to get you on and talk about all of that. But in terms of the Flyers draft, how did you think they did? We talked a little bit before the draft, and you did mention the kid that they took. But overall, when you look at everybody, how do you think the Flyers did?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly didn't come away super excited about their draft haul. The caveat is that I didn't think very highly of this draft. If this was a stronger draft, I would have really not liked the Maxim Sokolovsky pick. Even with them trading down, normally there are a lot of guys I like a lot more than a project defenseman who, if he hits a ceiling, is going to be like a unique second pair guy who isn't going to score a lot of points, but is going to be real physical and is going to impact the game that way. Normally, that would not be the kind of guy I would be like, yeah, it's a decent enough pick in the late first round. In this draft, though, yeah, I think I had him ranked like 34th on my board. So it's like, is it a reach in my opinion? Yeah, a little, but this was such a weak draft that, like, sure, this is a guy who, if everything breaks right, because he does have the physical tools, he's obviously huge, he can skate, he flashes raw puck skills. If you can bring it all together, he could be a legitimately good and unique second pair defenseman that every team in the league will want. And in a weak draft, as a late first round pick, I can live with that. That said, like, if I'm a Flyers fan, I wouldn't be like jumping for joy that they got a like second pair project who's going to take 4 to 5 years, even if he's going to be a good second pair defenseman. It's just like, it wasn't a very exciting draft to begin with. And they got a guy who's like exciting for this draft and I think could potentially play a role. And I see the upside, I see the path. It's just that this isn't a guy who I look at and I say to myself, man, he has the potential to be a true core piece of this team 3-4 years down the line. I don't see that kind of upside in him.
Is there a player that you would have taken instead? And I'm talking like, when I think back to the Cole Caulfield draft, and Cole Caulfield is sitting there, and I'm watching the draft going like, holy shit, they're going to end up getting Cole Caulfield. Spoiler alert, they did not take Cole Caulfield. But there was like an obvious choice of like, oh my God, he just fell to you. Was there a player like that where as you're watching the draft unfold, you're like, I can't believe this guy's still available. They should probably hop on him instead of Sokolovsky?
Yeah, it's a good question. I believe the guy that was top of my board when they first traded down, because they originally had a higher first round pick. They traded down a few picks. They picked Sokolovsky. The guy I believe who was tops on my board at that point, I think it was Adam Novotny, a forward, and then Ryan Lynn, a defenseman. Now, I like both of those prospects, but I don't see either of those guys as, you never know. Obviously, guys can dramatically exceed your expectations, but Ryan Lynn, I see as like, I think he has the potential to be a really good second pair defenseman. And I think he just has a higher likelihood of getting to that ceiling than I think Sokolovsky does. And Novotny, I think, has the potential to be a really good second line forward. Now, would I have taken both of those guys over Sokolovsky? Yeah, personally, I would have, because I like both of them better than Sokolovsky. I think the risk reward, the certainty of hitting their ceiling is higher. But neither of those guys are guys where I'm looking at it and I'm thinking to myself, oh man, they just missed an opportunity to get a blue chip guy who's going to be one of their 3 or 4 best players for the next decade. So, like, were there picks I would have made over Sokolovsky? Absolutely. But I wasn't high enough on any of them that I can get myself really angry about it, if that makes sense.
Is there anybody that they grab maybe later on in the draft that you really like and could end up being a piece down the line?
Yeah, I like their second round pick. I like Brett Liskey. Interestingly enough, he actually grew up a Flyers fan. He's not from the Philadelphia area, but he grew up a Flyers fan. But I think he's an intriguing guy because he In the second round, I like going for guys where I can tell myself a story as to why they slipped to the second round. Whether it's, well, he was hurt. So, hey, if he was healthy, maybe he wouldn't have been a first round pick. Or, he was playing behind someone. That's more the story with Liskey.
He's an asshole.
Well, I mean, honestly,
sometimes that happens, Charlie.
For a second round pick, sure.
Yeah.
I'll take last year's draft. One of those guys was Ivan Ryabkin, where he slipped all the way to the bottom of the second round because he didn't show up to the draft combine in shape and didn't do good in interviews. But like, hey, would I take that guy in the first round? Probably not. Would I take him in the late second? Sure, because what the hell? Why not take a swing on a guy where if he hits, he could be a first-line player? Liskey's interesting to me because he played on the same junior team this year, and get to know this name if you don't already know it. Landon DuPont, who right now is projected to be the #1 overall pick in next year's draft. He's a smallish, really skilled, talented defenseman. DuPont basically helped kind of push Liskey down the lineup. And in the first, I would say the first, I would think it's like 5/6 of the season, Liskey didn't play at all with DuPont because DuPont was playing with another guy. So Liskey was on the second pair. He wasn't getting top minutes. Then that other guy got hurt, and Liskey in the playoffs got to play alongside DuPont and got to get big minutes. And then suddenly he started producing and started playing a lot better. Now, look, some of that might have been he was playing alongside Landon DuPont, so he was getting the boost. But some of that may have been that, the reason why you look at his production over the course of his draft year and think, not that great, might have been because he was getting second pair minutes as opposed to first pair minutes, which, hey, maybe if this guy was getting first pair minutes all year, he wouldn't have slipped to the second round. He would have been taken in the first round. So I do like that pick. And I liked what I saw from him at development camp, not because he was perfect. He made a lot of mistakes, but I almost like it when 18-year-olds at development camp are making a lot of mistakes while also making plays, because that shows me that they're trying. They are not, they have confidence. And look, they're going to mess up because they're playing in a development camp where they're the young guy at development camp, and they're going to get knocked on their butt a bunch of times if they're trying to do high difficulty plays. But if you have the confidence to try high difficulty plays, the hope is that, next year when you've gotten a bit stronger, gotten a bit quicker, and then you're not the young guy at camp, then suddenly you're making big plays. So I'm intrigued by Liskey. I want to see what he does this year, especially now that he's going to be taking a top role on his junior team, because I believe DuPont is going to college. The other guy is going pro. So he's going to be like a top pair defense for them. He's a guy where I could maybe see this year, if he goes point per game this season as a draft +1 defenseman, suddenly people are a lot more excited about him than they were this year when he was kind of buried a bit down the lineup on his team.
Looking at development camp, obviously that's kind of a big thing for hockey nerds everywhere. You follow these prospects, you hype yourself up that they're going to be the guy. And sometimes, Charlie, they end up being German Rubtsev, and they're not the guy. So who really shined at development camp, and who was a complete disappointment?
Yeah, I think I'll talk about two guys who the Flyers actually took in last year's second round. So one guy who, look, the guys who you would expect to play well at development camp did, like Denver Barkey, Alex Bum, Porter Martone. They all look great. Sokolowski was very impressive physically. He's huge. He can skate. He can play with the puck, especially when he's under pressure. So all the guys who you would expect to look good. I don't think any of those guys, I would say, disappointed. One guy who I didn't necessarily expect to look as good as he did, Carter Amico, who the Flyers took with a second-round pick in 2025. His draft +1 year, for lack of a better way to describe it, was a mess. So he was coming back in his draft year. He had kneecap surgery. He basically busted his kneecap, knocked him out for most of his draft year. So he came back last year coming out of surgery. He jumped to BU and did not play well. It was pretty clear that he was rusty. He wasn't ready for college. And he just, within 3 weeks, he was getting, third pair, #7 defenseman minutes on BU. He ends up having to go to the USHL. Actually played well for, I believe it was Muskegon in the USHL playoffs. But again, that doesn't make up for the fact that, hey, you flopped in college as a freshman. That's a big disappointment, especially for a second-round pick. Well, I didn't go into development camp with super high expectations for Carter Amico. He blew them away. I mean, he's 6'5". He's big. He's a right-handed shooting defenseman. He can skate. So the tools have always been there. But I saw a puck carrying element to his game and an offensive aggressiveness and creativity to his game that I did not see when I was scouting him as a draft eligible. And that's exciting because suddenly then you start thinking well, maybe last year was just a throwaway year. Maybe he was rusty because of the knee surgery. It took him a while to get confidence again in his body. And now maybe in his draft plus 2 season, when he takes another crack at BU, maybe that's when he's going to take the big leap, because the guy who I saw at development camp certainly looked like he was capable of it. And I obviously didn't attend it, but apparently he looked really good as well at the World Junior Summer Showcase. So trying to make Team USA. So it looks like he built off of that momentum at development camp. So maybe he's due for a breakout season as a prospect. That's exciting. Now, one guy who kind of did the opposite, I really liked what I saw last year at development camp from Jack Murtag. It was another second-round pick the Flyers took last year. He looked significantly worse at this year's development camp to me, as opposed to how he looked at last year's development camp. And that's coming off of a draft plus 1 season where he did not play well at BU. He did not gain the confidence of his head coach. He was playing bottom 6 minutes most of the time. The big concern that everyone kind of had with Murtag, and the reason why I believe he slipped out of the first round last year, was hockey IQ. That issue popped a lot to me at development camp. Like, he was taking bad routes with the puck when he was carrying the puck through the neutral zone. Like, there would be an open spot and he'd for a weird reason, he'd veer right in the direction of the defenseman. It's like, I don't know, man, find the open spaces. That's the goal of carrying the puck through the neutral zone. And he just didn't flash the kind of skill to me that he flashed at last year's development camp. So, not writing off Jack Murtag, but I expected more from him. And I was surprised at what I got from Carter Amico. If you would have asked me this question, who are you more excited about this going into the season, Jack Murtag or Carter Amico? I would have told you Jack Murtag if you asked me this question in June. You asked me this question in August, I'm absolutely telling you I'm way more excited for Carter Amico's draft plus 2 season, because he showed me something and Murtag disappointed.
All right, first of all, let's give the kid a little bit of a break. All right, it's not as easy as it sounds to just find time and space. All right, and then skating through the neutral zone, those guys are big too, and they're paid and they're quick. So let's just give them a little bit of a break.
Okay.
Did Jetlichenko, was he at development camp?
So he was at development camp. He did not participate in the on ice stuff. What it seems like the deal with Luchenko is that obviously he's been very disappointing, especially last year. His draft plus 2 season was very disappointing. He gets traded to a better OHL team in Brantford. The production doesn't improve. So you no longer use he's on such a bad team. Now he was on a good team and he still didn't score that much. His goal production went way down. It appears that, and this is something that we knew about dating back to last year's training camp, last year's development camp. I just assumed that it was resolved. Apparently it wasn't. Seems like he had been battling through a core muscle groin issue basically for the last year and change. And he finally got it resolved. I believe he finally got surgery for it. And finally, hopefully, it's now in the past. That's why he didn't participate in development camp. Now, look, I've seen plenty of guys where it's everything will be fine now. He got surgery and then he still stinks. And it's okay, well, maybe that was one issue, but he lost too much development time. Maybe he was never that good in the first place and it doesn't matter. But I am willing to at least open the door for the possibility that maybe last year was ruined by a nagging injury that he finally got fixed. And I will give him this season. I will give him his first pro season where he's not going to be jumping between teams. He's not going to be he made the Flyers. He played on the Flyers for 3 games. Then he went to a junior team. Then he got traded to a different junior team. Then he played in the World Juniors. It was kind of a weird jumping around year. This year he's going to spend presumably the entire season with the Phantoms, at least unless he dramatically exceeds expectations and earns a call up. And in that case, hey, great news. But he's going to actually be able to set down some roots and not be completely discombobulated by bouncing around. And hopefully now he's fully healthy. So we did not get to see him at development camp. I think it is reasonable to be skeptical and pessimistic about Jet Luchenko after this past season, but I'm willing to give him this year, this first full pro season, to see if he can get back on track and become the guy who the Flyers thought they were taking with a not super high pick, but a fairly high pick in the first round back in 2024.
Moving on to the free agency portion of the offseason, and the big news was obviously the Leo Carlsson offer sheet signing. I know you hate the lazy question of take me through it, but take me through it. I kind of want to dispel the myth that all of a sudden Danny Briere was basically all right, screw Pat Verbeek. I'm going to get him back for the Cutter Gauthier trade, and I'm going to offer sheet his guy. And if I'm wrong in that line of thinking, then you can tell me. But I just think that is a wild jumping to conclusions by some fans.
No, I don't think it had anything to do with that. If anything, honestly, I think Briere probably respected the fact that Verbeek didn't like leak because if you remember, the Flyers didn't want, the public at large to know that Cutter Gauthier no longer wanted to be a Flyer. So the Flyers were having conversations with NHL teams, and Briere asked the GMs he was like deep in talks with, like, can you not let this get out because, just do me a solid. And Verbeek presumably was one of those GMs. So I don't think there's any bad blood between the two on that. Like, if anything, the Flyers like what they got back for Cutter. And obviously they would have loved to have just had Cutter. That would have been preferred. But hey, they're happy with Jamie Drysdale. They're happy with getting the second round pick that they were able to, in a sort of roundabout way, use to get Trevor Zegras from Pat Verbeek as well, just because it gave them an extra second round pick to use. So no, I don't think it was payback, because I don't think there was really any bad blood between Briere and Verbeek leading into this. I think what it really came down to was the Flyers wanted to make a big move. They had intel that Leo Carlsson, out of all the RFAs that were going to be available, had legitimate interest in signing an offer sheet if the number was big enough. And the Flyers also had intel from Bob Murray, who used to be general manager of the Anaheim Ducks, now is currently a senior advisor for the Flyers in their front office, that, hey, I know the Ducks ownership. I know the way they do financial business. And if you submit an offer sheet at this level, they are going to really consider not matching. Now, ultimately, they did match. But I think that's what it boiled down to. Like, some people have asked me, well, why didn't they offer sheet Connor Bedard? Why didn't they offer sheet Adam Fantilli? I think the reason why they offer sheet Carlsson, particularly over Bedard, is that they thought they had a chance, at least a chance, of getting Carlsson. They knew that they could have offered Connor Bedard. They could have signed Connor Bedard to a max contract, literally the maximum number, and Chicago was still going to match it. Whereas they thought they could maybe get Carlsson. They knew it was a long shot. They knew it wasn't like over 50%. But I think they looked at it as like, hey, it might be in like the 20 to 30% range. And if we have a 20 to 30% chance of getting Leo Carlsson, we got to go for it.
Yeah. Okay. That's basically what I was kind of reading into the situation too. It was like, there's no bad blood, but I know that some guys in my locker room were like, oh, this is payback. And I'm like, don't think it was that, but you can understand, I guess, the line of thinking with it, because then it made it really tough to re-sign Cutter Gauthier, which they ended up doing. They got that deal done too, but Pat Verbeek just saying like, we're going to match. It's easy for you to say when ownership comes into play, but do you think that the Flyers made that move for Leo Carlsson because the timeline for win now was sped up because they finally got a goalie, or was this kind of always the plan? Was this summer, hey, I think it's time to actually make a move?
I think they always wanted, if possible, to make a big move this summer. Now, I don't think it's a like, well, the plan won't work if we don't make a big move this summer. But just look at the cap space they have. I mean, they're sitting on $13 million worth of cap space. They clearly position themselves for this summer being the time where suddenly they have the ability to jump into the deep end. They have the ability, if there's a free agent available, to throw a ton of money. If there's an RFA willing to sign an offer sheet, to throw a ton of money. If there's a really good player available via trade who is going to have to immediately sign a new contract, if you want to actually make that trade worthwhile, okay, we have the money to fit that player. So I absolutely think that this was always going to be the first summer where they really tried to go big game hunting, and clearly they did. They didn't get one, but they tried. So I do think that this was always the plan in that sense. Now, on the flip side of it, though, like, I don't necessarily think they're looking at it as now we are a win now or bust team. I think they are still looking at it as like, yeah, it would have been great to get Leo Carlsson because he's young and he could have grown with our young guys. But hey, we didn't get him. That doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to, trade away all of our first round picks to go get Dylan Larkin. Like, Carlsson fit because he was really good and really young. I don't think they're going to up and like trade away all their future assets for, a good but not great player just because they've decided, well, now we're winning our team. Now, like, if Connor McDavid decides that he doesn't want to be in Edmonton, sure, they'll go all in for him. But I'm not expecting this to be a pivot to like, oh, we're going to the Bob Clark, Paul Holmgren era of, we're first round picks don't matter. We're just trading them away because all we care about is making the playoffs every year. Like, I still think they are focused on the long term. It's just that Carlsson both fit the short term and the long term because he was both a really good player and really young.
Yeah, it should help too, trade deadline, if they're in it and they want a player. I mean, it seems like every year the number of contenders that actually have cap space to go out and make a move at the deadline there aren't a ton, I guess, where they could actually acquire somebody with a substantial contract because they have all that cap space.
Probably going to be more now, though, given how much the cap's been going up, right?
Yeah,
like some teams are jammed up against the cap, like Dallas obviously is, but Florida is too. But there are going to be a fair amount of contenders that are going to have a lot of cap space.
Yeah, and this is a prime example why I don't know ball and you do, and that's why we have you on. So I'll just edit that out and nobody will know. All right, looking at the players that they actually did end up signing and getting, who do you like? Who do you not like?
Well, I really like Joseph Wall. I think that was a good trade. I mean, they traded away guys who really didn't fit with their long-term plan. Sam Ersson was, for the last 2 years, arguably the worst goalie in hockey, and well, not in hockey, in NHL. I'm sure there are worse goalies in, Sweden and Germany. But in the NHL, statistically, Sam Ersson was real bad. And they replaced him with a tandem goalie in Joseph Wall, where when he's healthy, he's really good. And now you don't have to worry about overusing him as much, given the fact that you already have Vladar. Like, that was his big issue in Toronto, was that he'd play really well, then he'd get overused, then he'd get hurt, and then Toronto would be screwed. Well, here they can plan to use Wall for 30, 35 games and hope that that's enough as like a quality backup, and that provides a dramatic upgrade over what they had in Sam Ersson. So love the Joseph Wall trade, especially for the cost that they paid to get him. They also signed Noel Acciari. Acciari's fine. Like, he's okay. He's a perfectly fine fourth line center wing hybrid type. Basically, what he is he's an upgrade over Luke Glendening, because the Flyers, what they wanted, and the reason why they claimed Luke Glendening during the stretch run, was they wanted a guy who was a right-handed shot, who could take faceoffs and play center. Well, Noel Acciari is basically all those things, except he's a lot better than Luke Glendening. So they just upgraded Glendening in the form of Noel Acciari, paid a little bit more to do it. But hey, it's an upgrade. He'll probably fit on that fourth line alongside Sean Couturier and whoever ends up being the fourth line left winger, whether that's Gerbenkin, whether that's like an Alex Barkey or Denver Barkey, Alex Bump, one of those guys, if they get pushed out of the top 9. So I like the Acciari signing, but I don't think it's a big needle mover. I think if there's a move that is going to get them more points in the standings, at least during the regular season, it's the Joseph Wall trade, because I think it's just a huge upgrade over what they had last year in Sam Ersson.
Is there anybody that you didn't really, any move you didn't like?
I mean, I would have loved to have done the Joseph Wall trade without taking back Simon Benoit. I don't think he's very good. Now, he's going to be the number 7 defenseman, most likely. That said, like, last year, the Flyers' 7th defenseman was Noah Juulsen, and Noah Juulsen played like 50 games. 7th defenseman play more than you think. So I'd rather the Flyers have a better 7th defenseman than Simon Benoit, who, like, with Toronto was an active drag on basically all of their 5-on-5 metrics whenever he played. Now, maybe the Flyers can get more out of him, and I don't think that he's going to be, like, I don't see a world where he's dramatically worse than Noah Juulsen. So I don't think they, like, really downgrade it, but I would have rather the 7th defenseman been an upgrade rather than a lateral move. And I probably would have rather just done that Joseph Wall trade without Benoit involved. Is that possible? I think Toronto was trying to clear some cap space, and that's why the Flyers took back Benoit. It's just, I'm not super thrilled with adding Simon Benoit to the mix, because I just don't think that highly of him as a player. I do think he'll be popular in Philly because he's big and he's mean and he's got a personality, but I just don't think he's that great of a defenseman.
What player do you think is poised to take a really big jump in terms of young players, and you cannot name Porter Martin? Okay.
I mean, I really hope that the player who's poised to take a big jump is Matvei Mishkov, and by all accounts, he's having a big summer. He's really taken the fitness and gains element of the summer seriously, which is nice given the fact that there was all that drama last year about him kind of just like being a kid and having fun over the summer. It looks like this summer
I'm sorry. I saw he went to the Michael Jackson movie though.
He did. Is it bad? I haven't seen it.
Oh, dude, it's not good. No, it's like a puff piece. So like, I guess like his decision making to me is still very much in question.
It's still in question. Well, he went to see the Minions movie too. Was that better?
I didn't see the Minions movie. I was kind of out on the Minions after like the second one. So
Okay.
I guess like again,
Well, I know
mean,
you've got kids, so I didn't know if you took them to the Minions movie.
No, and I have no problem going to kids movies. Like I mean, usually I bring kids, obviously, but like it's not a bad question by you. Yeah, the idea it's more times than not I've seen the movie than I haven't. But I guess out of all the movies that are out, his decision making is very questionable to me.
That
And
is
that's
fair.
troubling.
If
Like
if the Michael Jackson movie is as bad as you say, then fair. I have not seen it. I
you
can't.
could have went to
I
go
can't
see the
comment.
Odyssey, Matt Bay. Like I don't know. I mean, 70 millimeter. Anyway, not the point. Okay. All right. So Matt Mishkov you're expecting, and he is having a really good offseason, which I'm sure it's going to be music to Rick Tockett's ears.
I mean, I certainly hope so, because I think when I start doing my preseason, like what questions need to be answered going into the season article that I do for allphly.com, like one of them is going to be, is Matvei Mishkov ready to take a step? Did he have the summer that it looks like he had based on videos and Instagram posts and tweets and whatnot? That's gonna be question number one. Then question number two, which is just as important in my mind, is okay, if Matvei Mishkov is in really good shape and did have a really good summer, is Rick Tocchet willing to let bygones be bygones and give him a role commensurate with his talent? And that's a question, because like I'd like to think that Tocchet will just let it all be water under the bridge and, hey, all right, kid, you made a mistake. You were 19, 20 years old. You didn't go crazy in the summer, whatever, it's fine. But this summer you went hard and now I'm going to give you a bigger role. There's also the chance that he just holds a grudge. And I really, really hope that Tocchet doesn't hold a grudge. I hope that this year is significantly less drama-filled when it comes to Matvei Mishkov. Mishkov comes to camp in great shape, does all the right things, says all the right things, and then Rick Tocchet pushes him further up the lineup, and we see Matvei Mishkov go point per game pace, which I think is what people kind of expected him to do in year two after he had as promising of a rookie year as he had.
Well, I mean, I think that even if the Flyers end up winning a Stanley Cup, but Matvei Mishkov has a season like he did last year, you're still gonna have Flyers fans saying you probably should let Rick Tocchet go. This is enough's enough. I'm not saying it's a lot of the fan base, by the way, but there will be like 3 out of 100 people that are like, that's it, I'm done. All right, the biggest rivalry in sports right now is Charlie O'Connor versus Verizon.
Oh God, I am livid at Verizon. So here's my issue. So I'm having problems with my phone. The battery is clearly on its last legs. It is like I'll take it outside and within 20 minutes I'm down to like 70%. And that's with like using very little. Like it needs to be, the battery at least needs to be replaced, if not the whole phone.
How old is the phone?
It's about 2 years old.
Okay.
So it shouldn't be this bad at this point.
No, it should not.
Like I haven't even paid it off in full yet, basically. So I think it is a reasonable idea on my part to think I'm having problems with my phone. What should I do? Well, my phone is a Verizon phone. Maybe I'll take it to the Verizon store. They should be able to help. I think that's a reasonable thought.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, well, apparently not. Apparently now Verizon, their entire tech support, even if you take the phone to the Verizon store, they won't actually do tech support on it. You have to call their tech support number and they will run remote diagnostics on the phone, which already annoying. Like I'd rather have my phone be fixed by a real person as opposed to like some AI agent. But okay, whatever. If you got a seamless system where this gets done quick, sure, I'll do what you want me to do as long as I get my phone fixed. I call up the hotline, and you know what they tell me? We'll be willing to call you back when we're ready to take you. And I'm thinking, maybe like 20 minutes, half an hour, 5 hours. I'm still waiting for that call back just to get my phone's issue diagnosed. And again, this was all happening while I was in the Verizon store, and I'm telling the people employed by Verizon, this is the problem with my phone. Can you fix it? And they're like, nah, you got to go through a fake person, not a real person. So yeah, not a big fan of Verizon right now.
I feel like we've lost the plot.
I think we have.
Like, it's supposed to make it easier, but there's somebody there. You went to the store, Charlie.
I did. I was right there.
You were in the building. I
could have touched that person. Now, I don't think they would have liked that, but I could have.
No, consent is important.
It is.
And let's put that on the record that we're both, this is a consensual podcast or YouTube channel, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I mean, that's, I guess, the one good thing about like having an Apple product is like, if I really, really need to, I have to go to the Apple store, but at least they'll fix it there. It'll cost a ton of money and they'll make me do an appointment. Like, I'll never forget going to the Apple store the first time. They're like, do you have an appointment? I'm like, are we at a doctor's office, sir? Like, my phone is broken. Like, this shouldn't take that long. And they're like, we can fit you in. I'm like, oh, dude, thanks for doing me a favor.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. I'll go to Cold Stone. But that wasn't 5 hours. That was like I had to wait like an hour. 5 hours is insane.
Yep. Still waiting on that callback.
Yeah. That's ridiculous. But I mean, you're going outside in 20 minutes at 70% because my phone battery's pretty bad right now, but it's not that bad. Yeah. That's rough, man.
I know.
I guess when you're as popular as you know, running fantasy football leagues and whatnot, it's understandable. Your phone's always blowing up.
You never know who's going to blow up your phone.
No, yeah. Many people have called you the Roger Goodell of Yahoo fantasy football leagues.
Exactly.
Those people, well, there's only 11 of us, but there's, yeah.
It's fair enough.
All right. What else you got going on for the rest of the summer till hockey starts back up?
Yeah, well, right now I'm on vacation, but I'll be back next week, back on air at the PHLY Flyers podcast, which airs at least this summer every day at 1 p.m. on our YouTube channel. Probably will change the time once we get into the training camp and the actual season because we usually have summer hours and normal hours. But at least through the early part of September, we will be airing Monday through Fridays at 1 p.m. I'll be back next week for my vacation. And then all my articles are on allphly.com.
All right. Last question for you. It's a personal question. Okay. Because last time we addressed you getting engaged, which that's cool, man. But that's not that kind of personal question. It's more of a me problem. So I'm not wearing my glasses right now. And you know how bad my eyesight is.
They're not great.
It's really, really bad. So I can make out you as a human being, and I can obviously make out myself as a human being. I can't really tell if I look this pale, but to me, with my blurry vision, I look like a damn ghost. I look like I got antiqued. Do I look this bad?
I would recommend you maybe try to get some sun.
Dude, I can tell you right now, it's not this bad. But even with my blurry vision, it looks so bad. It's gotta be the camera and stuff, but yeah, it's gotta be the lighting in the camera. It's not this bad. I'm kind of squinting to see does it look like I just got hit with a bunch of baby powder? But it looks like I'm sickly.
Yeah, your assessment is accurate.
No, it's okay.
You do look very, very pale.
Glad we addressed it. And that's what you need. You need a friend to just tell you how it is sometimes. Charlie, I appreciate it. Let me put my glasses on to see how bad it is. Charlie, I appreciate it. Read his stuff at all PHLY. Yeah, it's not good. And then watch him in his show with Bill Matz. All right, go. Hopefully Verizon will call you back before the end of the day.
Hope so.